everyone! Welcome to another episode of Grammar Lessons. My name is Nushin and this is English Path. Today's lesson is about adjectives. Adjectives are words that tell us more about nouns and pronouns. Nouns like TV, bookshelf, window, teacher, and pronouns I, you. Adjectives talk about quality as well as quantity. Like an old TV, a big room, a great book, a crowded city. I am tired, they were busy. Tired and busy are talking about the conditions of the pronouns I and they. She has many friends. Many is an adjective that is talking about the quantity, number of friends. We don't have enough coffee. Enough is an adjective talking about the quantity of coffee, which is not adequate. And her house has 6 bedrooms. A number. Numbers are adjectives too. So adjectives modify nouns, and by modify we mean they add something to the meaning, or they change the meaning, or anyways, they influence the meaning and concept of the noun we're talking about. Where do adjectives go in sentences? Most adjectives are used before nouns, like she baked a delicious cake. Delicious is an adjective modifying the noun cake. Now, if you need more information about nouns, I uploaded a thorough lesson on nouns last Monday, and you can watch it here. Or she has a cool YouTube channel. Cool is an adjective that is modifying the noun YouTube channel. Adjectives can also be used after linking verbs. Now, what are linking verbs? Linking verbs are verbs that tell us the state of subjects. For example, be, become, seem, appear, feel, smell, taste, etc. There is an etc. here that I forgot to type. The flowers smell amazing. The test was challenging. Challenging is talking about the quality of the test, and it's used after the linking verb be in the simple past tense. The cake is delicious. She baked a delicious cake. In that case, it's before the noun. The cake is delicious. It is after the linking verb. Her channel is cool. So cool has been used after the linking verb be in the simple present tense, and it's talking about the quality of the noun channel. So what else do adjectives modify? Nothing. This is one of those crucial key points in English grammar, because not paying enough attention to it can lead to common mistakes in English that you need to avoid by all means. Adjectives can only describe nouns and pronouns. Please. I'm sure this gave you headaches at some point in your life, at school or exams, or maybe even when you wanted to speak to someone but didn't know the order of adjectives. First of all, I need to tell you that we usually don't use any more than 3 adjectives to describe the same noun, because any more than that could lead to confusion. So here they are. But you don't normally need to be thinking too much about them. You naturally know how to use your adjectives and in which order to use them, but it's a grammar lesson and I need to tell you. First, you start with quantity. That's very easy. The first thing you use is the number or whatever quantity word you have, and then you have opinion. Adjectives that state your opinion. One thing may look very beautiful to me, and the same thing might look ugly to someone else. So beautiful is something that shows your opinion. Then we have size, like tiny, enormous, tall. Then we have physical quality, the way the thing or person is, like rough, tidy, thin. And then we have shape, like square, round, oval. Age, old, young, middle-aged. And color, all the color words. Next on the list, we have origin or nationality, and then we have material like plastic, gold, crystal. Then we have type like everyday. Remember, we're describing a head noun, and all of these adjectives are used to talk about the state of the head noun, like everyday clothes, everyday jeans. And finally, we have purpose like swimming, running, or cleaning. Now I have some examples for you here. 2 beautiful tiny birds. 2 is the quantity, the number. Beautiful is the opinion. Tiny is the size. And birds is our head noun. Rough brown tree barks. The head noun is tree barks. right, barks of trees. Rough and brown are two adjectives modifying it. Rough is physical quality and brown is the color. And believe it or not, the noun tree is playing the role of a modifier here. It is giving us more information about the noun barks. What kind of barks? Tree barks. You know, adjectives or modifiers always answer which or what kind of questions. What kind of birds? Which birds? Two beautiful tiny birds. And finally, Chinese plastic everyday slippers. The head noun is slippers. Chinese is the nationality or origin. Then we have material, and everyday is the type of the noun. So we can use up to 3 adjectives to describe one head noun. And to avoid confusion, we can separate them in 2 ways. One, by using a comma, like she bought a beautiful, spacious house. The comma is separating the 2 adjectives that are equally describing the same head noun. Or by using and, like she bought a beautiful and spacious house. We call these coordinate adjectives, and they are adjectives that equally modify the same noun. Now, if your adjectives are not equally modifying the same noun, then you cannot separate them either using a comma or using and. Like, they built a red brick wall. Red is modifying the brick wall, not just wall. So you can't say they built a red and brick wall. A compound adjective is a word made up of 2 or 3 other words that express the same idea, and most, not all, most compound adjectives are hyphenated like this, old-fashioned. There's a little hyphen between old and fashioned. She always wears old-fashioned clothes. What kind of clothes? Old-fashioned ones. The sky blue walls gave the room a very relaxing ambiance. There are lots of different types of compound adjectives. I am introducing some of the most common structures here, like adjective hyphen noun, a long distance relationship. Number noun, a 600-page book. And pay attention to how page is used singularly. When you're using nouns in compound adjectives with numbers, the noun has to be singular. Why is that? Adjectives are never plural. So a compound adjective cannot be used plurally. So it's a 600-page book, a 3-hour-long trip. I made 3 words to make 1 compound adjective. Or 200-mile road. Number noun adjective, a 4-year-old child. Noun past participle, chocolate-coated cupcakes, yum yum. Noun present participle, English-speaking countries. You see the past participle is coded, like write, wrote, written. Written is the past participle form of write. And the present participle is the ing form of a verb, like English-speaking countries. And finally, noun, like bulletproof. Bullet is a noun, proof is a noun. Together they make 1 compound modifier, like a bulletproof jacket, or toy collector, a toy collector English teacher. Time to discuss comparative adjectives. Comparative adjectives are used to compare 2 people or 2 things or 2 aspects of the same person or thing. Like, the days are longer in spring and summer. Jackson is taller than Billy. We're comparing 2 seasons, 2 people. Her new car is more expensive than our house. I really wanted to make the chair myself, but ordering it online is less time consuming. So ordering it online is less time consuming than making it myself. Comparative adjectives are also used to compare 2 quantities, like she wrote more sentences than the teacher asked. So the teacher asked her to write 10 sentences, she wrote 15. Comparing the quantities, numbers here. They have fewer trees in their backyard than we do. So the number of trees they have in their backyard is lower than we have in our backyard. And I use fewer, which is a comparative adjective. How to turn adjectives into their comparative forms. If you have a 1-syllable adjective like tall, or a 2-syllable adjective ending in Y like happy, you will only add an ER to the end, like taller and happier. Now, if you don't know what syllables are, you can watch my video that I've linked here. and it is a complete guide to English pronunciation, including syllables, vowels, consonants, stress patterns, and intonation. Here are examples like taller, smarter, smaller. They're all one-syllable adjectives. Tall, smart, small. And these are the comparative forms. Or happier, busier, crazier. Happy, busy, and crazy are all two syllables and they end in Y. Now, if your adjective is none of the above, is not one syllable or two syllables ending in Y, you will simply use more or less plus the adjective, like more interesting, more careful, more appealing, and more ambitious. All of these adjectives are more than one syllable, and you see they're not two syllables ending in Y.
If the difference between the two people or things you're comparing is noticeable, then use this structure, much plus comparative adjective. For example, car A is $20,000 and car B is $120,000. So there is a $100,000 difference between the prices. So you'd say car A is much more expensive than car B, or car B is much cheaper than car A.
You can use less plus adjective for all types of adjectives, but one syllable and also two syllable adjectives ending in Y usually have opposites, like you have more dangerous, and if you want to talk about the other side, you'll say less dangerous. For example, swimming is more dangerous than walking because you might drown. So walking is less dangerous than swimming. But for taller, we have an exact opposite, shorter. Person A is taller than person B, so person B is shorter than person A. We have spelling rules that you need to be very cautious about, like when an adjective is consonant, vowel, consonant, again, watch my pronunciation video if you don't know what these are. You will double the last consonant, like fat, consonant, vowel, consonant. When you add the ER to change it into a comparative adjective, the T will be doubled. F-A-T-T-E-R, fatter, thin, thinner, big, bigger. The comparative form of two-syllable adjectives ending in Y has that Y changed to I, like healthy plus ER, healthier. You see the Y changed into I. Or early, earlier, it changed into I. Some adjectives describe absolute states, therefore you cannot talk about the degree. And double therefore, you can turn them into comparatives like dead. When the fish is dead, you say that fish is dead and the other fish is dead too. You can't say the fish is deader than the other one. No, they're both dead, and dead is an absolute adjective. As mentioned earlier, use then when the second item in the comparison is being mentioned. Otherwise, there's no need to use then. Like, Jackson is taller than Billy. I mentioned the second person, so I use then. But look at this example. I really wanted to make the chair myself, but ordering it online was less time consuming. You know what it means, that it was less time consuming than building it myself. It's obvious from the sentence, the context, and the meaning, so I didn't mention the second item and I didn't use them. One alternative way of comparing people or things is using equative adjectives like as adjective as or not as adjective as. The movie was as brilliant as I had expected. My expectation of brilliance was here. The brilliance of the movie was here. So it was as brilliant as I had expected. This bedroom is not as big as the other one. Not as big as. I am comparing the sizes of the two bedrooms, and this one's apparently smaller than the other one. To compare quantity, you can use as many as or not as many as much as or not as much as. Just be careful. When you're using many, your noun has to be plural, and when you're using much, your noun has to be singular. Like, I don't have as many ingredients as the list says or the recipe says. Like, the recipe asks you to have 5 ingredients ready. You only have 2, so you don't have as many as the recipe says. Or I added as much sugar as the recipe said, but the cake tastes as if I added none. So as much sugar, sugar is an uncountable noun, but ingredient is a countable noun. My previous video is all about nouns, quantifiers, countables, uncountables, etc. And you can watch it here, and the link is also in the description box. To show change as in increasing or decreasing trends, use comparative adjective and comparative adjective. The prices are going higher and higher. They're soaring high above the clouds, and I don't think they have the intention of coming back to earth ever again. Or, I'm growing more and more interested in the topic. It shows an increase again. The novel is getting less and less appealing as I read on. I may even give up reading it, so my interest or the attraction of the novel is decreasing. To show cause and effect, use the comparative, comma, the comparative. The two the's and this comma are very crucial. The more aggressive the people, the more chaotic the city. What causes chaos in the city? As people get more aggressive, the city grows chaotic. So the chaos is caused by the increasing or growing aggression among people. The less exciting the game, the unhappier the fans. So as the game gets less and less exciting, the fans grow unhappier and unhappier. So this second phrase is the effect of the first phrase. And there are no firm rules. You can use any kind of comparative adjective. And here we have superlative adjectives, which are used to single out one person or thing out of many. Like, you have a group of people and you pick one, or a group of things and you pick one and you single that person or thing out. They are usually used before prepositions like of or in, and they're usually used in the present perfect tense. Let's see how. China is the most populated country of the world. You see, we are singling out China of the entire countries of the world. Her brother is the tallest in her family. Chemistry was the least understandable subject for me at school, which was very sad. That was the most unforgettable concert I've ever been to. And I used the last sentence in the present perfect tense. If you need more details on the present perfect tense, you can watch this video right here. Superlative adjectives are also used to single out quantity, like Ken has the greatest number of trophies in his school. We're talking about the quantity of his trophies. Or Vatican City has the lowest population in the world. The greatest general is he who makes the fewest mistakes, a quote from Napoleon. The greatest is a superlative adjective of quality, and the fewest is a superlative adjective of quantity. How to turn adjectives into their superlative forms. Always use the before the superlative form. If you don't use the, you are making a grammatical mistake. Like if you say, Ken has greatest number of trophies, your sentence is wrong. One-syllable adjectives and also those two-syllable adjectives ending in Y get the est ending, like tall, the tallest, happy, the happiest, exactly like comparatives. Adjectives other than the two above, long adjectives like dangerous, expensive, get the most plus adjective like the most expensive. Use the least plus adjective for all types of adjectives, but one syllable and two syllable adjectives ending in Y usually have opposites. For example, the tallest, the opposite is the shortest. The happiest, the opposite is the saddest or the most upset. You can also use the least happy, the heaviest, the most expensive, the least expensive or the cheapest, the most admired, the least admired. Spelling rules. Consonant, vowel, consonant endings get the last consonant doubled, like the fattest, the thinnest, and the biggest. Two-syllable adjectives ending in Y have that Y changed into I when they turn into superlatives, like healthy, the healthiest, early, the earliest, and angry, the angriest. We have some adjectives that are irregular, which means they change when they turn into comparatives and superlatives, like good or well, well as in talking about health, changing to better when they're used comparatively, and the best when they become a superlative adjective. Bad and badly, worse, the worst. Far, farther, or further, the farthest, the furthest. There's a slight difference between the meanings. I have a short that I will link in the description also here, and you can watch that to know the difference. Old, elder, older, the eldest, the oldest. Elder is used in families like her elder brother, and older is used generally like older people, older buildings. Common mistake alert. Don't use double forms with comparatives or superlatives unless you want to emphasize something in informal language. For example, it's wrong to say she's more taller than I am, she is taller than I am, or he is the most kindest person I know, he is the kindest person I know. In informal language, you may want to emphasize something, so you are allowed to use double forms, but for academic purposes, especially writing, don't do that. ING adjectives versus ED adjectives. ING adjectives are the cause of ED adjectives. This is the simplest way I can explain it. I also have a short video in which I've provided more examples, and it's linked here. A boring movie makes the audience bored. You're bored, why? Because the movie was boring. The book was interesting, so I got interested in the story. The reason why I became interested is that the book was interesting. People get excited when they watch exciting sports games. When a person is frightened, it's because that person has had a frightening experience. Exhausting tasks make you exhausted. Also, another common mistake alert, many people don't know the difference between these and they say, oh, I'm so boring, which completely changes the meaning. If you say you are boring, it means you make everyone around you bored. Enough or to. Enough and to are both adverbs, and adverbs can be used to modify adjectives to influence the meaning of adjectives. Use enough to indicate that you have what you need, like whatever you're talking about is adequate. Use enough after adjectives. Enough starts with an E, an adjective starts with an A. The letter E is after the letter A in the alphabet, so
Adjective enough.
whereas in nouns, it's the opposite. You see, enough starts with E, noun starts with N, E is before N, so enough noun. Adjective enough noun. Examples, the apartment is big enough for a family of 4. Adjective enough, big enough. I think I gave my students an easy enough test to pass. So easy enough. I used a compound adjective to modify my noun test, and it was an easy enough test to pass. The channel has interesting enough content to keep any child amused. The TV channel. Interesting enough content. Again, it is a compound adjective. And here comes to. Use to give your adjective a negative meaning. When something is much less or much more than it should be, you use to. And you use to before adjectives. When you use to, something cannot happen or something is too dangerous to do. For example, it's too hot for me to go out. I can't. It's just impossible for me to go out. It can't happen because if I do go out, I'll get a headache, I'll get sick. I'm too tired to stay up. I just can't do it. I will fall asleep. I'm too tired to do it. These shoes are too big. I can't wear them. It's too dangerous for a child to play with knives because the child will hurt himself or herself. And that's it for today, guys. I really hope this video was useful. If you did find it useful, please don't forget to hit the like button. Please do.
And please subscribe to my channel.
I really appreciate it. Do let me know in the comments what you think of my content, and if you have any requests on any grammatical lessons or any tips about English, please let me know. I will definitely try to film it and post it for you. And take care, guys. See ya. The minute I start filming, everyone remembers that they need to go out or come back home to use this elevator. Room, city, No. I am tired. Not really, but I was when I was writing this sentence. Of these two pronouns. And busy is talking about the condition of the pronoun. No, I didn't like it. I'm gonna say it again. My hair is always so annoying. Like, I wish it were long. When it was long, it was much easier to handle. Now it's all over the place. It's just so not comfortable. Like tiny, enormous. Spelling. Something touched my arm. There it goes. I'm sure something touched my arm.